Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Pooh 17 Uptown, Ms. Missed it. Owen Ramen. Good evening. What's happening? Grateful. Good evening. Good evening, her. Simply Jess. Good evening, everybody. Shawnette. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Mazel. I appreciate it. We're getting ready to get started tonight. All right, tonight I'm excited about tonight because tonight we're going to talk about owning your confidence. So we've been in this zone of confidence for the last, all month long. We've been talking about confidence every single day, and it's pretty amazing even to me how many different aspects of confidence there are and how we can really get into it and start unpacking it. So tonight we're going to jump right in, and we're going to first of all, I want to know if those of you that have been with me these past few days, past few weeks, if you are taking on the challenge of doing something new every day. I believe it was on Saturday. I said, all right, 7 days of doing something new every day. It doesn't have to be necessarily in alignment with whatever your big hopes and big dreams are, but it was just a challenge to take action so that you can get into the momentum of getting out of what is comfortable. See, when you take action and do something new, it starts to help your mind start firing. It puts you in a different environment. You start getting a different perspective. Hey, Raquel, start getting a different perspective. And so what happens is you start creating momentum. You start creating energy. So I've been doing something new every day, doing something different every day to just get started, to get my mind, to keep my mind in the flow of momentum, because I just believe it's an important practice, something important to do. You have to practice whatever you practice. You practice being creative. You practice being able to step into a new atmosphere, getting out of your comfort zone. What will happen is you will build confidence for that because you're actually practicing taking action. And it sounds like such a simple thing, but when you put it into practice, it becomes life changing, right? Practice creativity, practice interacting with new people, practice being friendly. These things will change your life. So, today we're going to continue on in this practice. I'm going to encourage you to do something tonight and give you a little assignment. But what I want to talk about is owning your confidence, right? Owning your confidence. And what I mean by owning your confidence is taking a stand for something and just owning it. Now, you may or may not have done this before, but I'm actually going to give you the assignment early and ask you and encourage you to own a domain, to actually go out and buy a domain name. Yep, just like, off of GoDaddy or wherever, you go out and you buy a domain name, but buy a domain name. And this is why. Because when you own a domain, you are putting your flag in the ground to saying, you know what? I own this. I'm owning this part about me. And there's something about owning a domain when you say, this is my domain. What is a domain? It is a place where you get to rule. It is a place where you get to have authority. It's your domain. It is your place. So my question to you tonight is, what is your domain and do you own it in your personal life? What is that part of your life that you just say, this is me, I own it? And here's the cool thing about domain names. You get to name them, you get to create them, you get to make them up. And you go on and you can search to see if anybody else has thought of it. And I think one of the most exciting things to do is to create something in your mind. You don't have to go out, you don't have to build a website, you don't have to do anything with it at this moment. You don't have to do anything with it. You just own the domain. It could be your name might be Allie, right? And your domain you might say, well, I'm an adventurous person, right? And then you go out and you say, I'm gonna go out and buy the domain name Allie the Adventurer. And so you're owning that domain. You're owning that part of of yourself. You're owning that part of your experience. That part of your life. I think it's just fun because you get to take this part of the World Wide Web and the internet and all this stuff, and you have a domain, the domain that you own, right? For me, I don't know how many domains I own, but I have quite a few, right? I'm a creative person. I think of domain names, and I buy them, I purchase them. And so I think that this process of having a domain and laying claims to a domain, it will help you start to realize your stuff. You'll start looking at yourself differently. If you want to go out and you get something, that you own, right? So like, I have an RV, and so I think I have a couple domain names related to RVing, right? At one point, I thought my podcast was going to be a podcast that revolved around my RV travels. So it was going to be like a portable podcast, right? Where I was going to travel around and meet people and RV from place to place and meet people and interview people. And so I had a thought around that. And so when you're being creative and you have these thoughts, you get to own a domain. And for me, one of the things, the reason that I actually started to really think this way, um, at some point, I don't know how long ago, but it's been a while now. One day I was, I was studying the Bible, I was reading the Bible, and in the Bible, there's this part in Genesis in the very beginning where God says, "Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion." Okay. So be fruitful, have an idea, multiply it, duplicate, be fruitful, multiply, duplicate it. Replenish mean add back to. So you're adding to the world, right? Replenishing. You have a gift, you're giving it to the world, you're adding it to the world. And subdue it, meaning become an expert in that particular area, right? Become the person like that becomes an expert. Study it, you learn it, you grow in that particular area, and then you have dominion, right? So that's dominion. You there's a formula for having dominion. So, but in order to have dominion, you need to have a domain, right? It could be in terms of relationships. So you have relationship ideas that you duplicate, that you replenish, and that you become an expert in that relationship. That you have dominion there. You become an expert. That is your domain. That is where you thrive. And so when we have places where we thrive, it gives us focus, right? We've been talking about vision, having vision, and focusing on a vision where we're going. Well, that vision helps you to identify a domain. It can be professionally, it can be relationally, it can be with your health, it can be in any aspect of your life. When you have a vision, you are creating for yourself a domain. You've heard me in this past month refer to myself. I say, "Oh, I'm a king," right? So a king has a kingdom. What's that? Kingdom. The king's domain. Kingdom. And so if you have a kingdom, a king and the domain, they go together. And so when we identify our domains, when we identify where we show up, that is our domain. That is where we can have dominion. That is where we can have ideas that we can duplicate, that we can replenish, that we can become experts in, and then we have dominion. Authority. See, dominion isn't about dominating life, isn't about ruling over somebody else or oppressing somebody else. No. See, somebody came up with that because they figured, oh, I can make some money off of ruling over other people, dominating other people. No, it's not what it's about. When you're really dominating life, you start taking a hold of the gifts that are within you, the ideas that have been given to you, the opportunities that are presented to you, and you do something with them. I want you to try this or to pay attention to this the next time you're out or just as you're going through life. Look out, look out at life and look at the names of everything that you see. The stores, clothes, cars. Look at all of those names because someone named them. Some person named everything that we know. They named the name of their apparel, neighborhoods, states, countries. Everything has been named. Someone gave it a name. And what I want to encourage you to do is realize that you have power to name and identify that place in life where you are designed to thrive too. Give it a name. Don't just simply go through life just accepting whatever happens. No, you have a name. I love naming things, right? I'll name the farm or name an animal or name a project, right? Name a business. I like helping people find out, like, let's figure out what to name your thing. Why? Because it adds to your life when you understand that you have the authority to name something, to give it identity, to build it, to refresh it, to replenish it, to pour into it. You have the power to do that. And so often we feel like there's only a select few people that have this opportunity or privilege or that can do this. No, everybody has it. Doesn't mean you have to start a business. You can you and your spouse can get together and name the domain of your marriage. Just fun. And then let's take this a step further because we're getting into February. This is one of my favorite months of the year because it's just like love is abounding, right? So I'm a fan of February. So so we get into, like, you name your domain, right? So here's something fun you can do. You name the domain of your marriage, right? The Miller's Awesome Marriage, okay? And you can go get a free website off of like Wix or something like that. You take your domain name and then you go onto Wix and you can build a little website on Wix for free, like a real website. And you know what you can do? Something real simple. As you're going through life and you're taking pictures and you're having events, you can create your web page and your web presence where you and your spouse can just add your life to it. You could just document your life, not for every, I mean, other people could see it, but it's really just for you. There was one time, I'll give you an example about this. So one time I was in this relationship with a young lady. I was young, um, probably, I don't know, 15 years ago, and maybe 20. I don't know. It was a while ago, and I did this. So we're in this relationship, and I'm her boyfriend, and I'm loving her and all this good stuff. And so I created a domain, and like I was writing poems, and I put this stuff up on the web page and poems and pictures and all this stuff. And then I gave it to her, like as a gift one day. I was like, all right. It was, one of those special occasions came up, and I was like, all right, here. I've been creating this domain, this website, and I gave it to her as a gift. And, it was real emotional. It had pictures and songs and all this good stuff. My point is, you can be as creative as you want to be in life. And it's not about like other people so much as it is you understanding that you have the power to add to this world through your actions and through your thoughts, through your disciplines, through your creativity, through the insights that you have. You get to own your domain. And so the question becomes, what is it? What is the name of your domain? What is that area you say, you know what? I play the clarinet. I'm Clarence, the clarinet player, whatever. What is your domain? What is that place where you are developing and thriving and growing? What is that place or that activity, that action that brings you to life, where you feel encouraged and inspired, and when the best of you comes to life? Because when you start to identify where the best of you comes to life and you start feeding that area, you know what's going to happen? It's going to continue to grow. And so if you add to the place that is growing, then more growth is going to happen. More life is going to happen. In the seed of an action are more seeds of that action. So if you sow seeds of life, if you're sowing encouragement into yourself, you know what's going to happen? You're going to begin to not only have a seed, but you will eventually grow it as an orchard. Your few little encouragements that are going into your life, that little bit of focus that you're putting into your life to gear you in a particular direction, will be the same thing that ends up growing into more of that thing. You want more love in your life? Sow more love. It's kind of really simple. You get back what you sow. You reap what you sow. And so if you sow in love, you can look for a harvest of love. Why? Because seeds of love produce love. Apple seeds produce apple trees, which produce more apples containing more apple seeds. It's the process, but so often we go through and we sow a seed, and then something happens and something goes wrong, and then we start cursing the seed, and oh, it'll never happen, and nothing good ever happens to me, and my life is over and it's done, and I'm doomed. And we start digging up the seed just because the circumstance or the situation happened. And I'm not saying that I'm not a person that hasn't done it too. I've done it too. I was talking to my mom the other day. We were hanging out, and my mom and I were talking, and and we were talking about relationships. Like whenever we get together, the topic of relationships are going to come up, and we're always, since the time I was young, we've talked a lot about relationships. And I was talking to her about how, as a young boy, when I was young, I didn't even like to read. I didn't like to read. But as a young boy, I would take my dad's marriage books, right? My dad's a pastor. My mom and dad, they pastor at a church and they serve in that capacity. So I would take my dad's marriage books and I would read them. And I would take my mom's like marriage devotionals and I would read them. So I would take them when I was young and I would read them. And this is like one of the only things that I like to read. And so I would take them and I would read them. So for me, and we were talking about relationships. And if you ever just want to get me going, let's just start talking about love. I'll be on it, right? This is my thing. I like to talk about it. I enjoy thinking about how to build love, how to create romance, how to build sustainable relationships. I like the details of it and working through it. So this is what I enjoy. And so I was talking to her about it, and she was just talking about, she said, that's your thing. That's what's important to you. And while it is something that was important to me, and while those were seeds that I had planted in my life, it didn't stop me from, ended up actually being in a divorce, right? I got married, now I'm divorced. So I went through a divorce, and guess what? When I went through a divorce, guess what? One topic I was like, I didn't want to really talk about that anymore. Part of me felt disqualified. Part of me felt like, oh, I lost the thing that I was so passionate about. I lost the opportunity. I've lost my voice in that space. And there were a number of years I just shut it down, put it on the shelf, right? Because you sometimes can think when you go through something that it's over. I was a little angry, I was a little upset. I was fighting off that bitterness. Like I was telling myself, like, okay, you're not gonna be bitter about this. I'm fighting through it, but it was tough because life wounds hurt. There was a time I was like, I would never trust anyone again. Like I'm not opening myself up to that kind of pain again. Right. So you go through this process. Yeah, sometimes you might want to give up, but I would encourage you, when you're going through those times, be very careful about how you treat that seed. Don't just start digging up your whole life because something went wrong. Don't start digging up all the positive because there are some negatives, right? You don't dig up an apple tree simply because the storms come. It's not what happens. It's not what you do, right? Just because it's raining a little heavy, you don't dig it up. So the same with our lives. We don't have to dig up our good investments into life because certain seasons happen. And I think about it. I think now one of the greatest opportunities in my own personal life as it pertains to relationships, I now see it more clearly because of that season, because of that storm, because of what happened. Now, on the other side of the healing process, I'm thinking, wow, there are certain things I would have never had known certain topics I would have never had known about if I didn't go through that. This has become more clear to me actually in the past, how long has it been? Week, a little over a week, 2 weeks almost, since I had my surgery. I now understand clearly what it means to have an injury, to manage an injury, to manage the pain of an injury, and then make it to a moment where you decide the healing process starts now. And now moving forward, knowing that I'm moving towards healing, like this is amazing. And I understand my life better. So sometimes you're going to go through things, you're going to carry that pain. But when you can get to your healing point, when you decide today is the day of healing, my season of healing is starting now because I want to grow and be healthy and whole, it changes you. It makes a shift in your life. And then you start to see life differently. Listen, I'm telling you in real time in the last 2 weeks, my mind has just been like blown because I knew I carried pain for 7 plus years. I managed it for 7 plus years. I was just carrying it. I was figuring out how to work through it. And then, but I wasn't healing. I was just managing. There's a difference. I'm like, wait a second. In 2 weeks, the first day after surgery, I was sore. I was a little tiny bit achy. I was taking my meds, doing what I need to do. The doctor's orders said the rest, doing this. So I'm following the instructions for healing. Now, almost 2 weeks after, I feel basically no pain, right? So I feel like, oh, shucks, I'm starting to get strong. But it's still not time for me to get fully engaged back into the game. I can't go out and just start lifting heavy stuff. No, 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 no. It's not time for that. The lack of pain means I'm on the right path. Because now my lack of pain is not because I'm simply managing something, it's because I'm actually healing. There's a difference. And I'm telling you, when you start to recognize the domain that you desire to have, when you claim that domain, I have claimed the domain of healing. Like, no, no, no. This is for my life. I'm owning this. I'm owning healing for my life. I'm not renting it. I'm not going to try to borrow it. No, I'm owning this. I want full healing. I own it. So when we start thinking about it, like, no, I'm not living in brokenness. I'm owning wholeness. brianbwhole.com if I wanted to go buy something, but I don't want to go buy another domain right for that. But I'm saying, like, when you start to own your domain and you name it, no, healing is in my domain. Healthy and whole relationships are in my domain, right? A healthy body is in my domain. This is my domain. So for you, what does that look like? Right? A prosperous business is in my domain. Serving people, that's in my domain. What's in your domain? And what would you name it? If you're being creative in your creative power, what would you name it? What is that territory that you own? You're like, yeah, this is my territory. This is my land. This is my space. I'm telling you, you get in, you start shifting that, like, we don't have to simply just accept. I accepted my injury. I was like, okay, I accept this injury, and I allowed the injury to tell me what I could and could not do. The injury told me one day when I was running a tough mutter, you got to stop, or else you're going to really hurt yourself. You better stop. And while I was having a good time with my friends, I had to stop because I was like, well, I don't want that. But now, on the other side of surgery, same person, different experience, different place in life because I made a shift. And it might seem so silly, so simple. As I break it down in my mind, I agree to 2 hours in a doctor's office under anesthesia, knocked out, people cutting on me, people repairing me, people putting some mesh in my body to cover up a hole, right? So 2 hours, 7 years met with 2 hours on the other side of that, strength, healing, moving towards health, wholeness. Opportunities that I used to didn't have are now coming back to me because I made a 2 hour decision to let somebody operate. You hear it? It's time to allow for some operations, some new operations in your life, a new thought process, new people around you, a new environment, new operations. You know what new operations do? New operations mean there are going to be some changes in the way that you behave because the operation says that there's going to be a cutting away of something in order for you to have something else. It's great, right? Isn't that great? That's fantastic. And you get to control it. You don't necessarily have to, you don't have to go under and have anesthesia. You get to make this choice with eyes wide open. And you get to tell yourself, all right, it's time to operate. It's time to operate. All right, what do I want for my life? I want healing. I want wholeness. I want health. It's time to operate. I have to operate differently. Perhaps I need to change my diet. I want my relationship to be different. I want my marriage to be different. Perhaps I need to change my diet. Perhaps I don't need to do so much scrolling. Perhaps I need to go and be with my spouse. And perhaps I need to go look at them more and look at my phone less. Perhaps I need to make some more phone calls, tell some more people that I love them. Perhaps I need to sit down, turn off the TV, stop being entertained. And perhaps I need to sit down and sit and write down my vision and my idea and my business and my goals. And perhaps I need to spend more time with me, invest more time with me, and stop spending so much time being entertained. It's just opportunities. 2 hours, 2 hours with the right people, they repaired something that had been hurt and damaged for more than 7 years. 2 hours. And I was scared to death to go in there because I didn't want to go under anesthesia. I was afraid of not waking up. I didn't want them making any mistakes while they were down there cutting on me. I was scared. Fear kept me for 7 years. And then the people in my life that were loving on me they helped me to make a change in my life in 2 hours. This is real. 7 years of managing an injury because I was afraid. 2 hours in an environment of love, people loving on me, people that cared about me, people that said, all right, Brian, we got to go. We got to do this. You got to do this. And because of their love, the change happened in 2 hours. The process started in 2 hours. You talk about, this is a total side note, and I'm just going to shut it down. Love is an accelerator. Fear will hold you back. Love accelerates you forward. 7 years of fear. Love, 2 hours repair. Started the repair process. 2 weeks later, I'm already feeling stronger. 2 weeks later, I no longer think about that hole that was in my body. 2 weeks later, it eliminated that action of love, eliminated a thought that I had carried for 7 years. It destroyed it. That love, the love that I experienced from my family and my friends, it destroyed a thought that I had been carrying. Oh my gosh, there's this hole down in my stomach and my intestines are pushing out through it and it could turn into a knot. And I'm so afraid. What if it ruptures? And I'm so afraid. I'm afraid. And oh my gosh, I think I feel something. And so this was all in my mind, not every day, but on certain days. Gets repaired because people were loving on me and they said, Brian, it's time. You got to go. Come on. You got to do this. It's all right. You're going to be okay. We're going to pray for you. We're going to love you, right? We're going to pray for you. We're praying for you. We're sending you good feel, good energy, everything. Now look, 2 weeks later, that thought doesn't even exist anymore. And listen, I'm here. I show up because what? I want to help you discover and deliver the best that's within you. So if this message can help you and encourage you, if this can be just a little bit of added love into your life, where your courage builds up, where your confidence builds up, because you say, you know what, I'm starting to trust Brian. At least he's showing up every day. Like, he's showing up every day. I can at least trust him. He's showing up. He could be sitting there talking to himself, but he's showing up. Other people are showing up. Perhaps there's something to this, because guess what? That's the whole point. If I can show up enough days in a row and your confidence builds, that means you have now added trust to your situation. Because some dude showed up, other people showed up, and you showed up. So, time to take some action. Claim your domain. Go own a domain. Go buy a domain. They're like, I don't know, $8, $9, $10, somewhere around there, $11. I don't know. I've been buying domains so long. I have like a special price. I get mine for like $8.99. But I promise you, I buy domains because I know that a part of, for me, for a part of my life and the plans that I have to serve people in relationships, I name those domains. Like that's a fresh thought that came to me, where I believe that I'm supposed to do something with that in life. So, boom, it gives me a direction. It starts to name my action. And so I just want the same for you. I like to encourage you out of what encourages me, the things that I do, really practical things that are just encouragement. It's exciting. The other night I rolled over in bed because I was having a dream. I rolled over in bed, I pull up my phone, and I look for a particular domain, and it was there. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't believe that this is there. But I knew, I was like, I needed to have it because that dream was just so vivid. And then the days ahead, you'll see it. I'll roll it out. But I encourage you, just, that's one way of doing it. One way of owning your domain. You can actually own your domain. And I think it's one of those cool things in life that pretty much anyone can do. You can say, this is my territory for whatever it is. So I yeah, I encourage you to do that. It's time for new operations. So that's a nice message, and I hope it encourages you. I want to pray for you, and we can shut it down so we can get together tomorrow, and you all have some domain shopping to do. Remember, do something new. If you haven't done the 7 days, if you haven't been in on it, just start today. Start a 7-day challenge for yourself where you do something new each day. Something totally new. Just meet a new person, or buy somebody a cup of coffee if you've never done that before. Just do something new. Just do it just because it's there to do, right? And just have the experience and process the fact that you have done something new. Drive a different way to work. That's new, right? I don't know. Just be creative with it. Don't limit yourself. There are so many opportunities in life. Finding something new to do isn't hard. So, Father, thank you for this day and your many blessings, and for bringing us together for these moments. I appreciate each and every person that has showed up here, and I pray that their life has been blessed in some way because of these moments together. Thank you for the opportunity to pray for them, to encourage their life, and to just to add some water to the seeds of possibility that are within them. Thank you for their brilliance. Thank you for their genius. And thank you for them sharing it with me. This time is special, and it's valued. It's not moments that they have to share with me. And so I'm grateful that I have been in the presence of them. I pray that you would bless them in tremendous ways as they serve their gifts to the world and as they step out and operate with new operations. I pray that their new operations would bring about healing in their life, healing in their relationships, healing in their finances, healing in their homes, in their minds, in their hearts. I just pray, whatever it is that they're in need of, I pray that they would take a bold step, a bold action, and have some new operations. And as they operate in newness, I pray that you would just transform their life. That promise that our lives can be transformed when we renew our minds is such a promise of hope. And I pray that each and every one that receives this message and takes action would experience it and their life would be forever different. Thank you for this time. And I pray blessings upon each one as we go our separate ways. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, fantastic. So glad that we got a chance to hang out. Went to a new grocery store today, Simply Just 81. That's what's up. So tomorrow, every night, I try to be on as close to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as possible. Tomorrow, I do have a course and a coaching program that I'm a part of. So that sometimes it runs a little bit over, but it'll be pretty much close to 9 o'clock every night. Then the weekends, I'll kind of give an announcement about that because I'll sometimes shoot for earlier during the day on the weekends. But throughout the week, I'm I try to get here as close to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as possible. So thanks, Ash Fish One. He said I love your TikToks. I appreciate that. So thanks, Charlie Chomps. I appreciate you all. All right, so go do something new. Go own a domain. If you never bought a domain, that could be your new thing, right? No pressure. It's no pressure. Just an idea. Like I said, something that I do fairly often. I'll buy a domain name, and I just want to encourage you in that because there are a lot of possibilities when you own a domain. If nothing else, matter of fact, let me tell you this. If nothing else, try to get your own name, right? If you go look up, like I always use GoDaddy. Go look up on GoDaddy to see if your name is available. And if it is, like, hey, hello in Ghana. If it is available, buy your own name, right? Like that's a good name to buy. Oh, my horse and I watch all your TikToks together. That's what's up. Maybe we can go on a horse ride together. We link up, have to saddle up and ride out. All right, so that's an opportunity for you to um, at least own your own domain. I encourage everybody to do that. So I appreciate you all. Josh Production, thank you so much. I love your videos as well. Thank you for that. All right, everybody, do something new. Perhaps go buy a domain name, but most importantly, shut it down. Enjoy life. Enjoy the possibilities of your life because they're being stirred up, and you're doing the right things to get yourself into an even greater place where you're going to really see life happening more abundantly for you. And I'm excited about that. So thank you all for being part of this extension of family. Let's keep on doing life together. Love you all very much. I'm B.A. Shepherd, 2P's ARD, reminding you to be a shepherd. The world has enough sheep. Good night. See you.